Onions, a common ingredient we all know and love, adding flavor and zest to countless dishes. But did you know that combining onions with certain foods could seriously harm your health? In fact, some of these combinations might even be life-threatening. In today's video, we're going to reveal 10 dangerous onion pairings that could put you at risk for heart disease, liver damage, and stomach issues. You might be unknowingly sabotaging your health with these seemingly harmless combinations. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll be equipped with knowledge to protect yourself and avoid these hidden dangers. And here's the best part. Stick around until the end, and we'll share a powerful health tip that could change the way you think about food forever. Ready to uncover these shocking combinations and take control of your well-being? Hit the like button, and let's dive in. Mistake 10. Never eat onions with cabbage. It can cause severe health problems such as flatulence, dysbiosis, and other intestinal disorders. At first glance, onions and cabbage seem like healthy and widely available foods, but their combination can be insidious for the health of your gastrointestinal tract. Onions, with their pronounced antiseptic properties, stimulate digestion and increase blood circulation in the intestinal area. Cabbage, in turn, is rich in fiber and special sulfur-containing compounds that cause active fermentation in the intestine. When these two foods enter the digestive system at the same time, they can reinforce each other, causing significant gas and fermentation. This leads to flatulence, an unpleasant condition in which the body is filled with excess gas, causing a feeling of bloating and pain. According to a study conducted by the American Federation for Aging Research, regular consumption of cabbage in large quantities is beneficial to health due to its high fiber, vitamin K, and antioxidant content. However, when combined with onions, there were cases of increased gas and digestive problems in the study participants, which confirms the need for caution when combining these foods. An example of onion and cabbage misuse occurred with Jessica Harper, a 42-year-old woman from Florida, USA. Jessica, leading a healthy lifestyle, included a lot of fresh vegetables in her diet, among which were onions and cabbage. She regularly prepared salads using both of these foods together. After a few months of this diet, she began to complain of a constant feeling of heaviness in the abdomen, bloating, and irregular stools. After consulting with a gastroenterologist, she was diagnosed with flatulence and the initial stage of dysbiosis, caused by excessive consumption of cabbage combined with onions. How to avoid this mistake? First, separate the consumption of onions and cabbage into different meals. For example, if you plan to eat a salad with cabbage, save the onions for another meal. Second, to reduce the risk of gas, try subjecting cabbage to heat treatments such as lightly braising or baking it. This will reduce the amount of sulfur-containing compounds that cause fermentation. It's also important to be mindful of portion sizes. Even the healthiest foods can cause problems if consumed in excess. By the way, grateful people who put likes live longer by an average of 7 to 10 years compared to indifferent or haters. Read the study in the description below the video. If you find these stories inspiring and they motivate you to take action, please comment 9. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time. Mistake 9. Never eat onions with dairy products. It can cause severe digestive disorders such as abdominal bloating, dyspepsia, and bowel disorders. Onions and dairy products seem familiar and safe, but eating them together can cause many unpleasant effects. Onions have an active enzymatic effect on digestion, speeding up processes in the gastrointestinal tract. However, dairy products such as milk, cheese, or yogurt are known for their slow digestion, and their digestion requires special enzymes like lactose. When these two types of foods meet in the stomach at the same time, there is a conflict between the accelerated digestion that onions provoke and the slow breakdown of lactose, which can lead to a disruption of normal bowel function. This mismatch in digestion rate causes increased fermentation, which in turn leads to excessive gas and bloating. A study conducted by the American Federation for Aging Research found that in people with lactose intolerance, the combination of onions and dairy products increases the risk of developing uncomfortable symptoms 30% of the time. It also found that regular consumption of this combination can disrupt gut flora, which weakens the digestive system and causes chronic gastric distress. An example of how the wrong combination of foods can lead to unpleasant consequences is the case of Tom Johnson, a 38-year-old man from Texas. Tom had an active lifestyle and believed that eating vegetables and dairy products would only benefit him. He regularly ate fresh salad with onions and dressed them with sour cream or yogurt. After a few weeks of this diet, Tom began to experience regular abdominal pain, bloating, and a feeling of heaviness after eating. He had to see a doctor who diagnosed him with intestinal irritation caused by an inappropriate combination of foods. Tom didn't know that onions increase fermentation, especially when combined with dairy products, which led to his GI disorder. How to avoid this mistake? First, it is important to separate the intake of onions and dairy products into different meals. If you want to eat yogurt or cheese, then try not to add onions to the dish. Second, if you do want to combine these foods, choose lactose-reduced fermented dairy products such as kefir or probiotic yogurts, which are easier to digest. It's also important to listen to your body. If you experience discomfort after eating, you may want to reconsider your eating habits. Mistake 8. Never eat onions with red meat. This can cause serious diseases such as gout, hypertension, and joint inflammation. While onions and red meat may seem like a great complement to each other on the dinner table, combining them can be an insidious trap for your health. Rich in protein and fat, red meat is also high in pairings, substances that are metabolized into uric acid. Normally, the body copes with this process, but in people who are prone to gout or have high levels of uric acid in the blood, this combination can cause serious problems. Onions, in turn, have the property to stimulate metabolic processes and increase blood circulation, which can accelerate the formation of uric acid crystals in the joints. This combination is especially dangerous for those who already have joint problems. Regular consumption of red meat and onions can exacerbate inflammation in the joints, increasing pain and causing swelling. According to a study conducted by the National Institute on Aging, it was found that people who regularly eat red meat and have a genetic predisposition to gout are 40% more likely to suffer from exacerbations of the disease if their diet also includes onions. Studies have shown that onions accelerate the release of purine, which aggravates inflammation and can trigger an acute gout attack. A specific case occurred with Michael Stevens, a 55-year-old man from Virginia. Michael, being an avid barbecue enthusiast, regularly consumed large portions of steaks, not forgetting to add to them a generous portion of fried onions. For several years, he had felt a slight pain in his joints, which he put down to fatigue or age. One day, however, after a large meal of red meat and onions, his condition worsened dramatically. He felt severe pain in his legs, and his joints were swollen. The doctor diagnosed an exacerbation of gout caused by excessive consumption of purines from red meat, enhanced by the active effect of onions. How to avoid this mistake? First, try to limit your intake of red meat, especially if you have a predisposition to gout or hypertension. Instead, opt for lean proteins such as chicken or fish, which have less impact on uric acid levels in the body. Second, if you do decide to eat red meat and onions, watch your portion sizes and don't overindulge in these foods to reduce risks. You can also use onions in small amounts and add more vegetables to your diet, which help maintain normal levels of uric acid in the blood. Mistake 7. Never eat onions with mushrooms. This can cause serious health problems, such as gastrointestinal disorders, intoxication, and food poisoning. Although onions and mushrooms are often used in cooking as a delicious and nutritious combination, eating them together can lead to serious digestive problems. Mushrooms, despite all their health benefits, are difficult foods to digest. They contain chitin, a substance that is difficult for the body to digest, especially for people with a sensitive gastrointestinal tract. Onions, on the other hand, by activating digestion and increasing gastric juice production, can further overload the system if eaten together with mushrooms. This leads to slow and incomplete digestion, causing symptoms such as abdominal heaviness, bloating, digestive disorders, and even intoxication. According to a study conducted by the Life Extension Foundation, more than 25% of people who regularly consume mushrooms in large quantities have difficulty digesting the product, especially when combined with other hard-to-digest ingredients. The study found that mushrooms can remain in the stomach for up to 8 hours, which significantly slows metabolism and increases the risk of intestinal upset, especially when consumed along with foods such as onions, which stimulate the fermentation process. A specific example of this combination with unfortunate consequences is the story of Emily Wilson, a 34-year-old woman from California. Emily was passionate about vegetarian cooking and often cooked dishes with onions and mushrooms. At one of her dinners, she cooked a roast where she used large amounts of fried onions and mushrooms. Several hours after the dinner, she began to experience sharp abdominal pain, severe bloating, and nausea. Her condition worsened so much that she had to go to the hospital, where doctors diagnosed severe gastrointestinal upset. They explained that the mushrooms and onions in her case were not digested properly, causing fermentation and intoxication. How to avoid this mistake? First of all, it is important to take into account that mushrooms require a long heat treatment to facilitate their digestion. Try to cook them until soft, avoiding the use of raw or semi-raw mushrooms. If you plan to use onions and mushrooms in the same dish, limit the amount of one of these foods or separate them into different meals. For people with sensitive digestion, it is also recommended that you add vegetables with easy-to-digest fiber to these dishes to help ease bowel movements and reduce the risk of discomfort. Mistake 6. Never eat onions with coffee. It can cause serious health problems such as gastritis, stomach ulcers, and acid reflux. Onions and coffee are two powerful ingredients that can increase the negative effects of each other on your stomach. Onions are known for their sharp, rich flavors that wake up the digestive system by increasing gastric juice production. At the same time, coffee, especially when drank on an empty stomach, can increase acidity in the stomach, leading to irritation of its mucous membranes. When these two foods are combined in one meal, they create a real storm for your stomach. The sudden increase in acid provoked by coffee, combined with the irritating effects of onions, can cause inflammation of the mucosa and in the long term, lead to gastritis or even ulcers. These foods can be found together in unexpected dishes. For example, many people start their morning with a cup of strong coffee and an onion and egg sandwich, not realizing that this combination poses a danger to their health. Another example is the popular hearty panini with caramelized onion, served with coffee at coffee shops. You can also find onion rings on the menus of fast food restaurants, which are often eaten with coffee for breakfast. A study conducted by the Life Extension Foundation found that people who regularly drink coffee on an empty stomach, especially when combined with acidity-boosting foods such as onions, are 30% more likely to develop gastritis. What's more, this study confirmed that even one such combination can cause short-term stomach inflammation, especially in people who are sensitive to acidic foods. One example of the wrong approach to nutrition is the story of Julia Henderson, a 39-year-old New Yorker. Julia was a fan of morning breakfasts at coffee shops and started each day with a panini with caramelized onions and a double helping of coffee. After a few months, she began experiencing unpleasant symptoms, such as a feeling of heaviness in her stomach, heartburn, and sharp pains after eating. A visit to the doctor revealed that she had developed gastritis caused by the systematic consumption of coffee on an empty stomach, combined with irritating foods such as onions. How to avoid this mistake? First, avoid drinking coffee on an empty stomach, especially if you plan to eat onions or other spicy and acidic foods. Instead, start your morning with something lighter and more gentle on your stomach, such as oatmeal or avocado toast. If you don't feel like giving up onions in your meals, try to reduce the amount or replace them with milder options, such as baked onions, which are less aggressive to the stomach. Mistake 5. Never eat onions with vinegar. It can cause serious diseases such as gastritis, stomach ulcers, and mucosal erosion. Onions and vinegar are two aggressive foods that can have a devastating effect on your digestive system. Onions, rich in essential oils and organic acids, actively stimulate the production of gastric juice. Vinegar, especially apple or wine vinegar, increases acidity, which, when used simultaneously with onions, creates a powerful acidic blow to the stomach. This aggressive environment irritates the walls of the stomach, causes inflammation of the mucous membrane, and gradually leads to gastritis. If the consumption of such products becomes a habit, it can develop into a stomach ulcer. These two products are often found in the same dish, especially in marinades, salads, and sauces. For example, salads with pickled onions doused in vinegar, or popular appetizers such as vinaigrette contain this dangerous combination. Even in dressings for meals where onions are chopped into small pieces and doused with vinegar, there is increased irritation of the gastric mucosa. According to a study conducted by the American Federation for Aging Research, consuming vinegar in combination with foods that stimulate acid production, such as onions, can increase the risk of developing gastritis by 25%. The experiment found that even eating this combination once on an empty stomach doubled stomach acidity, causing short-term inflammation in people with sensitive mucous membranes. An example of how this combination can lead to problems is the story of Mark Roberts, a 50-year-old California resident. Mark liked to make savory appetizers with pickled onions and vinegar, often eating such dishes for dinner. After a few months, he began experiencing constant heartburn and severe stomach pains. Upon seeing a doctor, Mark learned that he had developed gastritis. The doctor noted that the daily consumption of pickled onions and vinegar was the main factor in the development of the disease, causing severe irritation of the mucous membrane of the stomach. How to avoid this mistake? First of all, reduce the amount of vinegar in dishes where you plan to use onions. Try not to pickle onions in vinegar, especially if you plan to consume them on an empty stomach. As an alternative, you can use milder dressings such as olive oil or lemon juice. If you find it difficult to give up vinegar, try reducing its concentration in your dishes and include other ingredients that neutralize its acidic effects, such as greens or avocado. Mistake 4. Never eat onions with salted fish. It can cause serious health problems, such as high blood pressure and kidney disease. At first glance, the combination of onions and fish seems delicious and healthy. However, when it comes to salted fish, it can turn out to be a real disaster for your health. Onions activate metabolic processes and increase blood circulation, while salted fish is saturated with sodium, which can greatly increase blood pressure. For people already suffering from hypertension or kidney disease, this combination is a direct way to exacerbate the condition. Salted fish, whether herring, mackerel, or trout, is often found in salads with onions or simply served as an appetizer. For example, a popular dish, herring under a fur coat, where pieces of fish are generously dressed with onions, can be a real balm for your cardiovascular system. In addition, many people make sandwiches with salted fish and onions without thinking about the consequences for the body. According to a study by the National Institute on Aging, eating salted fish combined with blood-boosting foods, such as onions, increases the risk of hypertensive crisis in people with a predisposition to cardiovascular disease by 45%. This is because the excessive amount of sodium in salted fish disrupts the water-salt balance, increasing stress on the kidneys and raising pressure in the blood vessels. An example of how dangerous this combination is the case of Michael Johnson, a 52-year-old man from Chicago, USA. Michael was a big fan of herring under a fur coat and ate this dish every week. However, as time went by, he started noticing that his blood pressure began to spike after such meals. One day, after a heavy dinner of salted fish and onions, his condition deteriorated dramatically, and he ended up in the hospital with a hypertensive crisis. Doctors found that the excess salt in his diet, combined with the irritating effect of onions, worsened his condition and led to serious kidney complications. How to avoid this mistake? First of all, limit your intake of salted fish, especially if you already have blood pressure or kidney problems. If you cannot give up such dishes completely, try to reduce the amount of salt, rinse fish thoroughly before consumption, and choose less salty options. As for onions, you can replace them with softer vegetables that do not stimulate blood circulation so actively, such as herbs or fresh cucumbers. Mistake 3. Never eat onions with smoked foods, fish sausage. It can cause serious diseases such as stomach cancer and kidney disease. Onions and smoked meats are two favorite ingredients in many dishes, but their combination carries an insidious danger. Smoked foods, whether fish, sausage, or meat, are loaded with carcinogenic substances that are formed during the smoking process. Onions, with their active compounds, can intensify the effects of these harmful substances, accelerating their absorption into the bloodstream. When these foods are consumed together, they form a toxic mixture that damages the gastric mucosa and increases the risk of cancer and kidney disease. These foods are often found in traditional dishes. For example, popular appetizers like smoked mackerel and onions or smoked sausage and onions are served as savory treats. In salads like herring under a fur coat, smoked fish is often combined with onions, creating a dangerous combination for health. According to a study by the American Federation for Aging Research, regular consumption of smoked foods, combined with irritating ingredients such as onions, increases the risk of developing stomach cancer by 37%. The study found that frequent consumption of this combination causes carcinogens from smoked meats to enter the bloodstream faster, and onions, by irritating the gastric mucosa, help these harmful substances enter the body. A living example of the dangers of this combination is the case of John Baker, a 48-year-old from Texas. John loved smoked fish and sausages, regularly adding fresh onions to them in salads and appetizers. Over time, he began to notice unpleasant symptoms: heartburn, stomach pain, and a constant feeling of heaviness. After going to the doctor, he was diagnosed with a stomach ulcer caused by constant exposure to carcinogens in his diet. The doctor explained that onions accelerated the absorption of harmful substances from smoked meats, which led to damage to the mucosa and the development of precancerous changes. How to avoid this mistake? First of all, reduce the amount of smoked products in your diet. If you cannot give them up completely, try to reduce the frequency of their consumption and combine them with less aggressive products such as greens or fresh vegetables. If you prepare dishes with onions and smoked meats, try reducing the amount of onions or replacing them with less irritating ingredients. Healthy alternatives are baked or boiled foods, which are carcinogen-free and much safer for your health. Mistake 2. Never eat onions with alcohol. It can cause serious health problems such as cirrhosis of the liver and pancreatitis. Onions and alcohol, a seemingly frequent combination at holidays and savory appetizers and salads, can cause serious harm to your body. Onion, having pronounced antiseptic and irritating properties, activates the digestive system and stimulates the production of enzymes. Alcohol, in turn, has a toxic effect on the liver and pancreas, increasing the load on these important organs. When onions and alcohol are ingested at the same time, they can increase inflammation, overloading the liver and pancreas. This combination can be encountered in a number of popular dishes and appetizers. For example, many people like to snack on alcohol with dishes such as onion rings, pickled onions, or hearty meat appetizers with onions and alcohol. Onions are often included in marinades for kebabs served with alcohol, or added to hot dishes served with spirits. A study by the National Institute on Aging found that drinking alcohol in combination with foods that have enzymes can increase the risk of developing cirrhosis of the liver by 35%. Scientists have found that alcohol and onions, acting together, accelerate inflammation in the liver and pancreas, which can lead to their gradual destruction. An example of how such a combination can negatively affect health is the story of Tom Wilkins, a 45-year-old man from Tennessee. Tom loved to have picnics with friends where meat, fried onions, and strong drinks were always on the table. Over time, he began to notice that after such meals, he began to experience pain in his right subcostal region and bitterness in his mouth. A few months later, after another raucous feast, he ended up in the hospital with acute pancreatitis. The doctors explained that regular alcohol consumption combined with the irritating effect of onions had inflamed his pancreas. How to avoid this mistake? First of all, try to limit alcohol consumption and avoid combining it with foods that strongly activate digestion, such as onions. If you plan to consume alcohol, choose lighter snacks such as fruits or nuts. Also, if onions are part of dishes that are served with alcohol, try reducing the amount or replacing them with less irritating ingredients, such as greens or cucumbers. Mistake 1. Never eat onions with fatty fried foods. Fast food, especially with French fries. It can cause serious diseases such as coronary heart disease, atherosclerosis, and obesity. Fast food, so tempting with its crunchy crust and rich flavors, carries serious health risks, especially when onion-containing dishes appear on the table. Onions, with their active irritant properties, stimulate digestion and blood circulation. However, when combined with fatty fried foods such as French fries, it can make matters worse by causing a spike in cholesterol levels and overloading the cardiovascular system. Fatty foods, rich in saturated fats and trans fats, cause bad cholesterol to build up in blood vessels, leading to their blockage and the development of atherosclerosis. Metabolism-boosting onions can further stress the heart and blood vessels, increasing the risk of heart attack. This is especially dangerous for people prone to heart and vascular disease, as an overload of fats and active ingredients in onions can be a trigger for coronary heart disease. The combination of onions and fast food can be found in popular dishes such as cheeseburgers with onions, fries with onion rings, or various onion-based sauces served with fatty appetizers. Such dishes are often an integral part of fast food, which doesn't take into account the health risks. A study by the American Federation for Aging Research found that regular consumption of fatty fried foods combined with digestion-stimulating foods, such as onions, increases the risk of coronary heart disease by 40%. Scientists noted that this combination not only raises cholesterol levels, but also increases inflammation in the walls of blood vessels, leading to their thickening and narrowing. The story of David Martin, a 50-year-old from New Mexico, illustrates what this combination can lead to. David, an avid fast food lover, regularly dined on French fries with fried onions and burgers. Over time, he began experiencing shortness of breath, fatigue, and chest pains. After emergency hospitalization, doctors diagnosed him with coronary heart disease, caused by excessive consumption of fatty foods and stress on the cardiovascular system due to the active ingredients in onions. How to avoid this mistake? First, try to avoid frequent consumption of fast food and fatty fried foods. If you feel like having fries or a burger, try to exclude onions from the composition or replace them with fresh vegetables that do not have an aggressive effect on the heart and blood vessels. Also, give preference to healthier alternatives, such as baked or boiled products that do not contain harmful fats and minimize the risk of atherosclerosis and obesity. Bonus: how to properly prepare onions for maximum health benefits. Onions are a powerhouse of nutrients, offering a wealth of health benefits when consumed correctly. They are rich in vitamins, antioxidants, and compounds that can improve heart health, boost immunity, and support digestion. But to get the most out of onions, it's important to know how to prepare and consume them in ways that preserve their nutritional value and avoid unnecessary health risks. 1. Raw onions, the best way to consume for nutritional value. Raw onions are packed with vitamins and minerals that can be diminished when cooked at high temperatures. They contain sulfur compounds like quercetin, which is an antioxidant known to help fight inflammation and support cardiovascular health. Eating raw onions, either as a topping for salads, sandwiches, or as a crunchy snack, helps retain these beneficial compounds. If you're sensitive to the strong flavor of raw onions, soak them in water for a few minutes before eating. This helps mellow the sharpness while preserving most of their nutritional value. 2. Sautéing with healthy oils. When cooking onions, it's best to saute them rather than deep fry or overcook them, as excessive heat can destroy some of their vitamins and antioxidants. Sautéing with healthy oils like olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil helps retain the beneficial compounds found in onions. These oils also provide healthy fats that are essential for absorbing fat-soluble vitamins. Tip: keep the heat moderate. Overheating onions can cause the release of sugars, leading to caramelization, which makes them sweet but can reduce their health benefits. Aim for light sautéing where onions are softened but not charred. 3. Grilling onions for flavor without losing nutrients. Grilling onions is another great option to keep their flavor intact while retaining much of their nutritional content. The high heat of grilling caramelizes the natural sugars in onions, enhancing their sweetness and flavor without reducing their antioxidant properties as much as frying. Tip: grill onions over medium heat to prevent burning, which can result in the formation of harmful substances. Pair grilled onions with vegetables or lean proteins for a healthy, balanced meal. 4. Use onion in soups or stews. Onions are an essential ingredient in many soups and stews. Cooking onions at lower temperatures, like simmering in a broth, is a gentler method that preserves most of the nutrients while allowing their natural sweetness to develop. The long cooking time can help make the onions easier to digest, releasing their beneficial compounds slowly. Tip: to keep onions as nutritious as possible in stews, add them early in the cooking process but avoid boiling them for too long. This will allow the onions to impart their nutrients to the broth while keeping the texture intact. 5. Fermented onions for gut health. Fermenting onions is an excellent way to improve digestion and gut health. Fermented foods contain probiotics, which are beneficial bacteria that support a healthy gut microbiome. You can easily ferment onions at home by placing thinly sliced onions in a jar with water, salt, and a little sugar, letting it sit for a few days at room temperature. Fermented onions can be used in salads, sandwiches, or served as a tangy side dish to add probiotics and enzymes that help digest other foods more easily. 6. Avoid over-pickling onions. Pickled onions, while delicious, often come with a high salt content that can increase blood pressure and strain your kidneys if consumed in excess. If you're pickling onions at home, try to limit the use of salt and sugar, and use vinegar sparingly to avoid irritating your digestive system. Make your pickled onions a treat rather than a daily staple. Try mixing pickled onions with other vegetables like cucumbers or carrots to balance the acidity and salt content. Onions are an incredibly versatile and nutritious vegetable that can enhance your meals while providing numerous health benefits. Whether you enjoy them raw, sautéed, grilled, or fermented, there are plenty of ways to incorporate them into your diet to maximize their positive effects. By following these preparation tips, you can enjoy onions in a way that not only supports your health, but also makes your meals more flavorful and satisfying. Remember, the key to making the most of onions is balance. Moderation is essential, especially when combining them with other foods, and mindful cooking techniques can preserve their nutritional power. So next time you're preparing your favorite dish, think about how you're cooking your onions to get the best out of this incredible ingredient. As we've seen, certain combinations of onions with other foods can create serious health risks that could potentially cost you your life. It's crucial to be mindful of what you eat and how you prepare your meals to avoid these dangerous combinations. By following the tips we've shared in this video, you can protect your health and ensure that your meals remain both delicious and safe. Remember, knowledge is power, and now you have the tools to make healthier choices when it comes to your diet. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends and family to spread awareness, and subscribe to our channel for more informative content on maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Stay informed, stay safe, and take control of your health today.